What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast. We're going to rename it. You guys are going to figure out what the name is. I've got Brady Hempen with us. He just won his first ASA in the Known Pro class, new Known 60 class, third one of the year. You've had several finishes. Like you've gotten second at least once.
Yeah.
How many shoot offs have you
and
made?
then a third and several fourth and fifths.
3 seconds?
No, 2 seconds, one third, and several fourth and fifths.
Yeah, solid. So, for the viewers, how many years have you been shooting ASA?
ASA, I believe I started when I was 6 years old in the junior eagle classes and worked my way all the way up to known pro. So I went from junior eagle, senior eagle, middle school pins, known 40, known 45, known 50, and then known pro. And I turned pro when I believe I was 17, turning 18. So that's been my archery ride so far.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids that they're going to be wanting to shoot pro potentially. Did you know hey, at a certain age, did you make a decision? You're like, hey, I want to shoot professionally, or was it more like you waited until high school just to kind of see?
Yeah. When I was real young, I just enjoyed going to the local shoots and shooting with my dad. My dad wanted to become a better bow hunter. That's why he always went to the local shoots. And I was real little. I would just follow him around and shoot the targets and just have fun. But I believe my dad saw something in me where hey, I think you could have a talent for this, and a dad being a dad, he saw that and he wanted to push me to do my best. So he told me I wasn't allowed to shoot my bow no more unless I learned how to shoot a hinge release. He believed that a hinge release would be the most accurate thing overall for me, even as a hunter. I wanted to be a good bow hunter. So I told him I was just so scared to shoot a hinge release because I've heard so many people whenever I was growing up, oh, you'll hit yourself in the mouth or you'll bust your nose or something like that. So I was scared to death of it, and I just wanted to be a better archer. So I told my dad I would do it, and I saw huge improvements over changing from a trigger release and not having any kind of mental game or mental process to learning the mental side of things very slowly with the hinge and how to work a shot correctly with it going off on its own. And my accuracy went through the roof. And that's what I've ran for years after that, all through middle school pins and up.
Solid.
Yeah.
Man, personally, I feel like when I started learning how to shoot a hinge, it's like riding a bike. It's like, I knew how to ride a bike with the training wheels. I was punching a trigger,
Yeah.
at the time. Until I learned how to actually shoot a hinge personally with the click. But I know do you shoot with the click or no click
No
right now?
click.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I didn't know how to actually really, really shoot a surprise release until I learned how to shoot a hinge.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're young, I think that's a great idea. Learn how to ride the bike without training wheels.
Yeah.
Once you learn it, you won't forget it.
Correct.
So,
and then I
solid.
believe whenever you have a shot process down with that and you're able to fire that release without actually going off and hitting yourself in the mouth, you can do it with any release. Then what a surprise shot feels like. So if you want to shoot a surprise shot with a thumb button, you can apply the pressure the same to get it to go off. Same way with a trigger, you keep applying pressure until it goes off on its own, and it trains your mind that you don't have to punch or you don't have to have some sort of anxiety in your shot, is what I believe.
Totally. Yeah, I personally shoot a button, and I shot a hinge religiously for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I shoot it exactly the same way. You can grab me a hinge, I'll shoot the same shot. So yeah. Anyway, so you shoot no click. And you've been shooting a hinge for a very long time. How do you shoot a hinge with no click?
I just don't need nothing clicking in my ear whenever I'm nervous or at full draw. I just want to put my pin where I know I can hit and execute a shot and just keep that same relaxation and motion with my release hand, and it just goes off on its own. But I do a bunch of blank bailing. I do just as much blank bailing as I do actual practice, like on targets. I believe having that rhythm down and it's a surprise shot, but I know it's going when it's going to go off because I've done it so many times. It has allowed me to build up I'm trying to word it right. It's allowed me to build up that timing where I'm like, it's so predictable. Like, okay, it hasn't gone off in this right amount of time. I need to let down. Or, okay, I'm in the middle of my shot. Yep, it's feeling good. Rotate, rotate, boom, and it goes off. And it should go off in the middle whenever it's perfect timing.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people that are just starting to figure out how to shoot, when they hear the word surprise release, it's like they expect it to have to shock them and for
Yeah.
there to be no timing involved.
I will
So,
say, starting with it, it does shock you. It does scare you, learning how to shoot a hinge because a lot of people, they come from target panic or they come from punching or something like that. And whenever it does go off, it really scares you. It makes it like sends a jolt in your body, like, ooh, that didn't feel right because you had no control of that shot going off. So I remember whenever I first started, it was like that.
yeah, exactly. So, on that note, if you are looking to shoot at a really high level, I think the recurring theme is um, people flip the switch when they learn how to shoot a hinge.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know any really good pro in any type of archery that doesn't know how to shoot a hinge, at least a 323x
Yeah.
on command with the hinge.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm not saying that commanding's bad. There's clearly people that shoot a command style and shoot it phenomenal. So, I mean, it's nothing
sure.
wrong with that. I just feel like it would be good to at least know what a surprise shot feels like before you go that route.
Exactly. I completely agree. Like any guy that like Kyle Douglas or Householder, I guarantee you they can shoot a hinge
Oh, for sure.
just fine.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay. Tell us about so you've been shooting archery for so long. Like, how did you manage all of the different equipment changes and form changes as you've grown? Like, what problems did you run into as you're overgrowing bows and stuff?
Oh, I've had a bunch of problems over the years, growing and equipment and things like that. Yeah. So I mean, whenever I was younger, I didn't care at all about form. I just wanted to shoot arrows and be with my dad on the range. And when I got a little bit more serious with the hinge, I got with a guy. His name was James Malone. He really helped me learn how to shoot a hinge, and he was actually a professional archer as well. And he was a pretty good shot for sure. But he taught me a lot of things on form and what the how to tune and a lot of things like that. So I learned quite a bit of things from him, but he kind of got out of it, and my dad learned a lot from James. They're really good friends and still are to this day. So if I ever need any help or anything, James is always there to at least give us some advice. But I learned a lot through that. Draw length, whenever I was growing, was a pain in the butt. I always was jumping in half inch, quarter inch draw lengths. It felt too short one week and then too long the next, and then I grew into it. So yeah, it was kind of a pain. But once I stopped growing and I figured everything out on that side, I kind of went down to George Riles and shot down there with his team, and I got to meet a lot of cool kids from all across the country at that time. And he helped me, and he got my draw length right where I needed it. It might have been a hair on the long side, but I prefer my draw length to be a smidge on the long side than the short side. I at least hold better. A lot of like you hear Bodie say, like he lets his pin float everywhere and he just executes through it and it hits the middle. I kind of don't do that. I need to hold at least still, especially in 3D at 60 yards. I feel like you should hold pretty still to be able to hit rings at that distance. I don't know how you can have it jumping around and then still hitting a 12 at 60 yards, but I notice a hair longer in draw length allows me to do that. And that's really about it on that.
Awesome. So for you, everyone's definition of draw length is going to be different. So
Yeah.
for you, like what does long mean to you? Like just long, what does that mean to you?
I believe I measure out if you want to like do the wingspan and divide it or yeah, divide it by 2.5 and all that. I measure like 29.6 ish, but I shoot 30 and a quarter. But I personally believe like if you do that, it's like you dang near add another inch to what you actually measure for you to feel close or comfortable in your shot. At least 3/4 of an inch, that puts me right around 30 and a quarter. And that's, I just noticed like my
That's
dad, he shoots a 29 and a half and I shot his bow the other day and I was like, man, that's short. There's no way
yeah,
I could shoot that. And that's technically what I measure out to be. I feel like the bow floats everywhere and I can't get nothing right. So I was just like, there's just no way I can shoot that draw length.
dude. It's weird that you say that because I've tried the wingspan divided by two, and I think mine's like it's either 26 and a half or 26 and three quarter.
Yeah.
I personally shoot on average 27 and a
Hmm.
quarter. So it's
Yeah.
like at least a half inch
Yep.
longer.
That's the same way for me.
Yeah. So it's good to know. So as far as like pin float, you want the pin float to be pretty much still while you're
Yeah, for
executing
the
that
most
shot.
part. I know I always have a little bit of float in there, but it's predictable, especially if my
Mhm.
release timing is perfect. It's predictable, so I know what it's going to do before it actually does it because I've seen it a million times.
Exactly. So run us through your setup. Like what bow are you shooting? The arrows
Yeah.
release.
So I'm running the PSC Dominator Duo X38 with the SE2 cams. Like I said, 30 and a quarter inch draw, and some gas bowstrings, AAE Freak Show QD with a standard 10 thou blade, Excel sight for now, a bowfinger scope. I got my downrange optic 6-power lens, LP light kit. I'm trying to think of everything. I don't have my bow in front of me, but Conquest stabilizers, the Smackdown 625s. I got a 30-inch front bar and a 12-inch back bar. The 30-inch bar has 9 ounces up front, 18 on the back. Bowfinger mounts, Black Eagle arrows, PS23s with some Q2i 2.5-inch fletchings. It's a 2-degree left offset on those. I'm running some gold tip mini HD pin knocks. A lot of people don't like pin knocks, I've been hearing, but
It's
they
a
seem to
great
work for
knock though.
me. Yeah,
It's
I
an
love that knock.
extremely good knock.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
140 grain tips in my arrows. It's really all I can think of right now. Some elevation stuff, of course, like quivers
Yeah.
and bow cases and the seat. And yeah, that's all I can think of. Oh, and the Scott Micro Longhorn. That was a big change for me this year. I feel like it's the best release I've ever had. So,
It's such a unique handle. Like you've shot what the HBC for the longest.
yeah, for like my whole life.
Yeah, exactly. And you just now switched to this release. It's a very flat and wide hinge.
It kind of sweeps back way more than the actual HBC did.
Sure.
But I actually started out with the Pro Advantage by Scott when I was younger, and then I did pretty
Okay.
well with it in middle school pins. And then after that, I went to the HBC and I just ran that forever pretty much. But I just feel like it's more consistent than that. I feel like my release timing's better. I think the handle fits me better, so that's why I'm running that.
Sure. So, like with your shot, like a lot of guys, when they start learning a back tension, they pull and really rotate the release.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you shoot yours?
I hit the back wall. I kind of lock in my back shoulder blade where it can't like go any further, and you have to have perfect draw length to do that. If you're too short, it won't feel right. If it's too long, it won't feel right. So I try to have my front bar pretty stiff, but kind of relaxed at the same time. I would have to like show you what I mean on that. Relax my front hand, my grip, and then I lock in my back shoulder blade, and I just maintain that steady pressure. And I relax my hand the same way. So what I try to do is to focus on the little bit of movement of my index finger sliding, which automatically moves these two fingers back, causing the rotation to happen. And so whenever I do that, every time the shot's the same. So that
Exactly.
release allows me to do it. So that's why I've been shooting that one.
So your hand will align and then
Yeah.
you'll have the same alignment. And then that's
Yep.
when the shot breaks.
Yes, sir.
So when you say two fingers, you're talking like these two?
Yeah, so like I'm shooting a 3-finger release. So
Okay.
I'll let this one slide a little bit, which these kind of
okay.
back and it fires.
Exactly. So for the people that are listening, he's saying he's letting his index finger come forward and then the middle and ring fingers are kind of picking up the slack of the
Yeah.
release.
But it's
Yeah.
not like a very fast motion at all. It's very, very slow. Like I can barely feel it. That's how slow it is.
Yeah. And I've explained that to people. Like, I think the better of a shooter you get, the slower you move the release,
Mm-hmm.
but you still feel that you're moving it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good stuff. So, you've shot Hoyts forever. I know you've
Mhm.
played around with a title a little bit.
Yeah.
You're not currently under contract with the bow company.
Nope.
So you're shooting the Dominator Duo X. Why this bow over other bows?
Last year, well, I shot Hoyt pretty much my whole life, like you said, and then I ended up getting a pretty good opportunity with PSC last year. I shot their bows pretty well. I started the season off with the M2 cam on their bows, which me not knowing much about PSCs, it felt good at the time, but I noticed for me personally, it was just a hair. It wasn't as forgiving as what I was wanting. So I thought in the middle of the season, might as well try the SE2 and give it a shot. And it was like a light switch, just turned right on. I was like, this cam agrees with me. I love this cam. I busted my butt with that cam for like a good week or two trying to get used to it. And then that next week, I went to that Indiana trail shoot and won it.
Awesome.
Next week after that, I made the shoot off at Metropolis. I was like 2 or 4 points away from the shoot off at Coleman, which I kept myself out of that. I think I shot with you. I hit a couple eights that were just dumb. But anyway, I started off the season this year with the win at the Hoosier Open. It's not a huge indoor shoot, but it was definitely a good confidence booster. And then here we are, won my first ASA with that bow and cam. I truly believe in their products. I believe that PSE makes a phenomenal bow out of the box. It holds its tune. It never really goes out of time. I don't know if that's the bow or the gas bowstrings or a mixture of both, but I am just in love with the bow and the products that I'm running right now, and they just shoot good for me.
Solid. So, for context, everyone, Brady, what have you been doing this past week before the ASA?
I've been trying to do some turkey hunting here and there, and I've been blank bailing. And I actually had my buddy come out and shoot with me. He got a brand new bow. He's a pretty hardcore hunter, and he just wants to have some fun and start. He's got the fire started to shoot some bow and be hanging out up there on the on my range up there. He'll shoot up there all afternoon with me. So he kind of pushed me a little bit this week to shoot extra arrows, which I went out there and shot with him, and I actually cleaned a range that was 50 and in. He wanted to shoot 50 yards, and he thought it would be cool to shoot, like kind of a pro style range. I was like, all right, let's do it. And I actually cleaned the range.
That's
Perfect
awesome.
20 out of 2012s. And I was like, man, that was good. I had somebody out there with me to kind of witness it, because I was like, I can't believe that just happened. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to relax and try to turkey hunt a few days before the shoot and go there and see what happens.
Exactly.
And it all happened.
Yeah. So, I think the bow works really well for you. It sounds like it, like you said, it holds its tune. You don't really have to play with it too much. You can take a couple of days off to go turkey hunt, clean a range. I think that's solid. So shout out to PSC for that. Amazing product. So, but yeah, what else? You're going to Murray State right now.
Yep, I'm about to graduate with my bachelor's degree. And
what are you studying?
A couple weeks. Just business administration for now, but I am planning on getting my master's or MBA in business administration and marketing as well. So it's going to be a pretty long couple years, but I can't wait to get it done.
Yeah, no kidding. So, with that, are you looking to potentially work in the industry?
That would be awesome. I would love to work for a company in the archery industry. It's pretty much all I know and really love to do. So I think it'd be great to work for them or anybody.
Awesome. Yeah. Brady will shoot you straight. So that's good stuff. So, as far as your next shoots this year, mostly ASA, the Indiana trail shoot.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you have lined up?
If I start doing well at these, I might try to go up to Yankton and shoot some, different kind of field stuff. But as of right now, I'm probably just going to do the ASAs and the trail shoot.
Solid. So, yeah, is there anything on your mind right now that you'd like to add?
Not really. Whatever you think.
So, tell us about day one and how it went. Like Thursday, what you did, Friday, what you did, Saturday.
Yeah. So I drove down there Wednesday night, woke up, Thursday, got some breakfast, went out and did a little practice, shot with Chance and Jacob Marlowe on the practice range. And, I think I shot what is it? The new sim shoot or whatever it's called, GPO, that's got 47 names. The elite bonus shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went and shot that with Robert and a couple buddies. And then Friday did the same thing, woke up, got some breakfast, and I told my dad, I was like, I think today's going to be a good day, and went out there and shot good, strong shots all morning. I think I shot with Matthew Burns, Tim Chekarowski, and I can't remember the other guy, but I shot with those guys. Shot well. I had a couple mistakes. I had 2 8s on Friday that really aggravated me because both of them were me. I actually ate at my last target. I was wanting to get to 26 up, and I was 24 going into the last target, and it was a 60.8 yard deer, and I was like, oh, I can hit it. I've been hitting all of them. So I aimed real hard at the upper and just was about, I don't know, a 1/4 inch high and a 1/2 inch right of it for an 8. And I was like, dang, why did you do that? But yeah, Saturday came around and I knew I had to have a great round, and I was shooting with Dane and who else was in that group? Lawson and Kevin Dukes, and we were all neck and neck the whole time. Lawson kept hitting, when I would hit one, he'd hit one, and then he'd hit 2 in a row, then I would hit one, and then he would miss a couple, and then I'd hit two in a row, and he was just never letting up to give up his lead. He shot phenomenal all weekend. I had a great time with that group, and after that, I got ready for the shoot off. I actually had a snow cone because I was like, I need some sugar.
This guy.
Went out there. I told my dad on the car ride going to the shoot off. I said, Dad, I'm probably going to win this, and he was like, well, I hope so. So we go out there, and I was just confident, man. I just knew I was going to hit rings. I didn't know if I was going to win. I didn't know what the other guys was going to do, but I knew if I did my part, I was going to hit a lot of rings and put myself in contention to win.
Exactly. Isn't that crazy? I feel like in that situation, people want to win, but
yeah,
you didn't really care that much about it. Like, yeah, you do, but you're just doing what it takes to win, doing your very best. And if you win, that's what's going to happen,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I really care. I probably care too much, but it's like something about this weekend. I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more. I just knew, like, man, I'm probably going to shoot good, but let's just, hit some rings and see what happens. I tried to put less pressure on myself, and the little bit older I've gotten, I've noticed I have put less pressure on myself, which has allowed me to shoot better under pressure.
Yeah, that's solid. Super solid stuff. So if you want to shoot better, guys, put less pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Just go shoot your bow, essentially.
Yep.
But yeah, cool, man. So think that pretty much wraps things up. Let's talk about one last thing.
Okay.
So your entire process, you do a ton of blank bell. You do about 50% blank bell just for timing, release, feel. You're locking your front arm and then your back shoulder blade essentially, and then just
Hmm.
focusing on that rotation. And then you're doing torque tuning with your rest and group tuning.
Correct.
So a lot of guys, some guys say, well, what the heck's torque tuning? I don't believe in that. And then group tuning, especially, it's like Tim Gillingham, for example, I want to call him out. He's like, the people that group tune are people who shoot blade rest because they're trying to get clearance. And I'm like, what the heck is this guy talking about? So walk us through torque tuning and then group tuning for yourself.
Okay. So if I get a new bow, I got it set up. I try to get it close through paper. I'll get a slide high or a bullet hole or whatever, and then I'll go out in the yard. Try to get a close 30-yard mark, and I'll torque tune it first thing, and I'll make sure that I'm either moving my rest back. I like to use my sight first. I'll move my sight in and out if it's an easy fix, and I can just mash all three arrows after torque tuning. Which I say three, it's because you torque one way, you torque the other, and you shoot one in the middle. I normally shoot the middle one first, the right one, then the left. If all three are touching, your torque tune's good, in my opinion. But once I get that perfect at 30 yards, I will even back it up to 40 or 50 just to see what it does. I plan on not torquing my bow really bad, like how I am right there trying to see what it would do. But if I can get them within an inch at 50 yards, I think my torque tune's perfect. Like I said, I try to get my rest to be a slight high tear. Normally, slight high left is what I start out with. And then I'll just go out to 50 yards, 60 yards, whatever it is. And I'll just try to smash arrows. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just see how tight my groups can get. So if I have three or four that's dead middle and a couple like randoms that are a little high or low, if there's a couple that are a little high and I don't know why it fired there, I'll either check the arrows, turn the nocks, but if they still keep hitting the same after checking the nocks or turning the nocks, I will bump my rest down like maybe an eighth of a mark until all six arrows or however many arrows I shoot are all touching or really, really close. And that's the same way. So if I have four in the middle and two low and I don't know why, and those arrows are good, I will bump my rest up slightly to make sure. And that's going to change where all your arrows hit, but I don't really care as long as they are all grouped together. And that's pretty a basic way of doing it. And that's what I've always done. I've never done the bear shaft tuning. I would need someone really smart to show me how to bear shaft tune.
I think it's the same.
I don't know what I'm doing. I really
think it's the same. Like,
yeah.
I'll give you an example. Like I made this stupid decision. Remington Warrior witnessed me do it. I swapped to a mod I'd never shot before, a 70% let off mod. Thursday evening. I got there like Thursday afternoon.
like at the shoot.
Yeah, dumb. Anyway, so I had to retune this bow, and I had a high hitting bear shaft, and I tried to walk my rest down, but I don't think I walked it enough. And I feel like I had a lot of misses that are high, and I shoot uppers a lot. So,
yeah.
If you have, every now and then a shot that's kind of high,
that's no good.
Yeah. So it's the same with your group tuning. If your groups are you get some that are high, I would totally drop the rest.
Yeah.
I would honestly rather it hit low.
Mm-hmm.
Like
especially
my bear shaft. Shooter. Yeah. If you're shooting low, that's essentially your high tear to begin with.
Yeah.
So why a high left tear? Why not a bullet hole?
I've just seen like off a blade rest, slight high or slight high left seems to be the most forgiving, especially off Hoyts that I've shot over the years. The PSE, it's actually, I have it just super, super slight high left. Like, I mean, you could almost call it a bullet hole. That's how high left it is. So this bow likes it like that, obviously, but that's what I just seen the most forgiving. I've tried right tears, I've tried left tears, like straight left, and I've tried low and high just to see what it would do, at the house. Sure. And high left, slight high left is money for me. I'm awesome. Sure if you were a left-handed shooter, a high right would be probably money for you. Yeah.
So I've heard people say it's the directionality of the arrow. It wants to go
Mm-hmm.
in one direction.
Yeah.
Does that sound kind of right for that?
Yeah, I would say so. So if you have any kind of glitch in your shot at all, if you have just a straight bullet hole, or if you have a low tear or slight low tear and you, I don't know, have like a not great shot, it really will show in the tear because you could shoot through paper. I do it all the time. That's another thing I do. I actually burn through a lot of paper to make sure my shot is the same. Like I'll shoot 10 arrows through paper, blank bailing, but the paper tells me exactly how that shot was. Like, okay, all 10 of these arrows were perfect, slight high left, but okay, I'll shoot it again and I might have one that's really right or not really right, but right or
Yeah.
low or left. And it's like, that's kind of just, I did something in my shot to cause that to happen.
Yeah.
And I will try to figure that out so it won't happen on the range. But yeah,
solid.
I just think having a slight high left gives it direction out the bow to be more accurate downrange.
Totally. So my setup right now, I got my writing set up. I told you about that.
Yeah.
I think it's at a bullet hole right now, but I think I made my bear shaft a little to the right and definitely like an inch low at 20 yards.
Yeah.
So that's basically a high left here. I'm going to try it out. I can tell you this. I think I've had setups where it was like low and right, and I don't think they shoot good at all. I think I get a lot of high left misses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I feel like if you want to really expand in the bow and shoot an aggressive shot, having that directional arrow is probably going to be better for you.
For sure.
So yeah, and one last thing on that, when you're paper tuning, are you moving your rests, shims, or a combination of both?
The shims, I mean, that 20 or 220 system that PSE has is like bulletproof. I mean, if you got a slight high left, you just pop your shims out, boom, boom, put new ones in, and it fixes it like right on the spot. I love that system. It's so easy to work on, and that's why I use those.
Yeah,
that's I never really have any crazy tears, so doing the shims like that normally get everything out. And another thing I've noticed, I don't know, you've probably noticed this too. So if you get real close to the paper and you shoot through paper, it's like a bullet hole or low. But if you step back 5 yards and you can't really tell like what your tear is, you can step back 5-6 yards and shoot it through paper, and it really shows like the direction of that arrow. So like if you shoot real close, I'm like, oh, that's a bullet hole. It's like step 5 yards back and see what it does. And it's like, oh, now it's a 1/4 inch high left. It's like you didn't see that because it just come out the bow. And I've done that too a lot. And this PSE, it likes being probably at 5 yards, a 1/4 inch high left, but up close it looks like a bullet hole almost.
Sure. Exactly. I think Gillingham likes to paper tune at 5 yards. A lot of shops are going to probably say, hey, you need to paper tune as close to paper as you can.
Yeah.
So it's getting it right out of the bow, but I feel like it's a false reading.
Yeah.
Potentially. So that's good to know. I might need to check that with my setup real quick, but
you were just shooting good. Don't touch that dang thing.
Dude, this thing is shooting insane. Like at 77 yards, it's the furthest I can put this bag target from the garage door out here at the range. Like that was my goal today. I was like, if I can do that at 70, something like this, because the dot's like this big, I'll be happy.
For sure.
You know. So anyway, we'll see. But okay. Now as far as food at tournaments, is there anything that you avoid while you're at tournaments, food wise?
No, I try not to say, I don't know. I try not to get too many sweets. You know, I try to calm it down. I'm not on no diet, which I probably should be, but I try to stay away from spicy things because I don't want nothing to happen on the range for being nervous.
This guy. That's actually a really good point. Like I've had, what did I have? Dude, I don't know if it helped me shoot better or if it just kind of was there and was weird, you know, but like some of that pepper Jack Link's jerky, a little spicy. It's real spicy feeling on the range.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So As far as like your mental game, for yourself, like, and for how you do what you do,
Yeah.
what's your definition of the mental game?
I'm just trying to make super strong shots with as little in my mind as possible. I don't really want to think about nothing. I just want to go out there, focus on what Brady has to do to put this arrow in the middle. And that's my mental game. Like I know I've done it a million times in practice. I can do it here. It is nothing different. I'm going to go out there, make a good strong shot, and focus on what I got to do. And that's me really focusing on my release and my movement to allow the timing of it to be perfect. But if my pin float is predictable and it's holding still, it's going to be really good. And I don't really have to stress about anything but having my pin pretty still and my release timing. So that's as mental as it comes for me. I try,
Solid.
I might get a little nervous or whatever, but I can shoot through the nerves if I focus on the two right things that I need to focus on.
What are those two things for you?
The predictable pin float and my release timing.
Solid. I love this. This is excellent. So one thing that I've learned for 3D shooting that I think helps for me is the same thing. You have to have half of your focus on your pin movement and the other half on your release.
Yeah.
I would say that's good for a 3D shooter.
For 3D. I don't know if it works as good indoor though. I kind of think I need to try to even dumb it down more indoor and just like let the pin just sit in the middle and just execute maybe a little bit faster and get it off like not as soon as it hits the middle, but like let it sit in the middle. All right, it's in the middle, now go. Boom. I think that's why Bodie shoots absolutely incredible on dots because he can put his pin right where he wants and it lets it float, but he has that same shot, that same timing every time. It's just dead nuts every single time.
Exactly. And I think that's something I really wanted to touch on. Like for 3D, I think you have to focus on both. For indoor, I think you can just let the pin do its thing and focus more on your release because the middle you can see the middle without binos.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's the yellow. It's the middle of the yellow. You can look at it and center up very easily. But with 3D, I feel like you kind of have to build that kind of aim into the shot.
Yeah, you can't see the 12 ring at 58 yards on the black bore when you're first up. You got to kind of know where to hold and have a predictable float on that kind of target compared to a 20-yard indoor face where, like you said, you can see it at all times.
Exactly. So, I feel like for me, as far as when I go to like FIDA stuff, I'm not really that good at FIDA. Just going to be honest. I've just started it. It's just so windy, in that situation, I really don't care about aiming as much like I do. But if there's like wind, I'm just making sure my form feels strong. And that I'm like, when that window opens, my release movements, timed right.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But yeah. So I try to split personally my 3D style from like FIDA, and I try to adapt my style to the event. So like my indoor shot is exactly like my 3D shot. I just kind of dumb it down. I have a dot there instead of a pin. I'm sure you shoot a pin most of the time.
You want to know the truth? I've always shot a dot for indoor, but I was too lazy to take my pin out for my 3D setup last year, so I just ran a pin for indoor this year.
I mean, it works. It works great.
I feel like it's just an aiming reference. So just put it in the middle, and if I do my part, it's going to hit.
Yeah. Solid. So anyway, but yeah, I think that's so solid. A lot of guys ask me that question. What are you doing for your mental game? Like, you literally just have to give yourself something to do to make your shot break in the middle. And what Brady just said, aiming and your execution. If you can do those two things as a 3D shooter, I think you're fine. As far as shooting other stuff, I think you can focus a little bit more on your release. You just kind of have to play with it and see what works best for you on that. But yeah, don't overcomplicate it. You want to shoot the same shot that you're shooting in practice the same way you do in the tournament. You're going to be nervous, so what? Focus on what you already know you should be doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's truly the only two things that you can control are those. I mean, you can't control your score. You can't control where your arrows land, but you can control your shot, your release, and what goes through your mind to allow you to have those two things work together.
Exactly. So, any last comments for the viewers?
Nope, I don't got nothing.
Awesome, man. As far as London, do you have anything special you're going to be doing to prep for that?
Same old, same old. We'll see if it works 2 times in a row.
I'm really curious to see what it's like.
Yeah.
Like,
I hope we don't shoot in the power lines this year, because I don't know how they're going to do that. If we do, that's going to be miserable. So hopefully we shoot down in the bottom. That would be great.
I mean, I don't think they're not mean enough. I don't think they have been mean enough to stuff like a Wolverine or a Javelin at 60 yet. They haven't done it yet.
Yeah, we've had the Coyote a couple times.
They had the Coyote twice at 60 at the past event.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, okay, let's just say they do it again. They put the Coyote at 60 and we are shooting the power lines. And we're standing like, over the years, I think it's gotten better where we're not standing at the edge of the woods.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better.
Yeah, we're standing in the same lighting as the target. So in that situation, what are you thinking?
I think everybody's got to shoot in it. So I just got to prepare like everybody else and see what happens for that weekend. Hopefully we got several umbrellas, because I need to bring an umbrella, because I always seem to get a glare off my lens. I don't know if it's because it's so bright behind us or what, but I always seem to get a glare, and that umbrella really helps, cover that up, and I'm able to make good, strong shots normally. Yeah,
I agree. I've had to help myself out with that. Kyle, I shot with him last year. He needed it quite a bit. So clear. But you're going to run about the same lens. So,
I won't change anything at all.
There's a bunch of guys. They go to London and they go crazy. They're like, I'm going to shoot 4 power or less or no lens. I'm going to take my clarifier. I hear a lot of older guys that say this.
I know one right now. You.
I wouldn't do that. No, I have tried that. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
you have tried a lot of
stuff. I think I have, but I shoot the same setup, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't have your peep too small. But if you already have it set up for most 3D courses, I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, but for the older gents out there that are going nuts about it, I would just shoot it and ask for an umbrella.
Yeah.
It isn't that big of a deal. So,
or maybe
Brady,
have your
what were we saying?
Peep size a little bit, maybe up it one notch and see if you have more lighting come in.
Dude, I tried it and made it worse. Like, I remember the time I did try that at the practice range a couple years ago. I was shooting like a 16th and I went to a 330 seconds. I hate 330 seconds. I bet you don't shoot 330 seconds, do you?
Nope. 1/16.
1/16, man. I don't know anyone. I know a lot of people that try bigger, but 1/16 was great.
My group seemed to open up a little bit when I go bigger.
Exactly. So, but I tried a 330 second once, and the lighting on the target did not change. The only thing that changed was my scope, like the surface, was so bright. It was so bright that I think it made everything else darker.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't think opening up the peep necessarily means that the target is going to have a brighter sight picture.
Yeah.
Unless your scope is like really close to your eye, which mine is not. I push my sight out because my draw length is so short, generally speaking. But yeah. So anyway, as far as your sight tape, how do you do your sight tape?
I tried to get a 20. I mean, hitting the same arrow hole. I want it in the arrow hole. So once I got that, I'll move my indicator on 20. I'm just using the Excel metal tapes. I've believed in them. I've never really seen them be completely trash at long distance. I haven't had that, but a lot of people say that they don't believe in those and that they do like Archer's Advantage and things like that, which I probably should, at least give that a test. I've never done it, but I go to 50. I try my best to make as good of shots as possible after the torque tuning and the group tuning. That's what I'll do. I'll go out there and I'll move it in a quarter yards at a time until I know it's like, okay, I fired dead middle of that 12. It hit dead middle. I'm going to do it a few more times, and then I'm going to either move my indicator or find the tape and line it up with my 20-yard mark and my now 50-yard mark, which I need to start doing that probably at 60 now with how our ranges are. So I need to maybe change that.
That's interesting. That's crazy. So you can go to 50 and that 60 is generally good enough.
Yeah, to be honest, my longer marks, like this past weekend, I hit pretty much all the long ones. Anything past 50, I pretty much just smoked. And then if you had a 42 yarder, I'd be just out. I'm like, gosh, dang, I need to shoot closer distances. But yeah, they seem
I heard
to be
someone
doing good.
say that. I think it was Kevin Dukes.
Yeah,
I shot with Kevin the first day. I'm pretty sure he said, I'm just going to set up a range where it's like 35 to 45 yards for 10
Yep.
targets.
I've missed so many of those over the years, and they're so aggravating. But it's like I'll shoot, like you saw that 54-yard leopard the other day in the sun. That
Yeah.
was miserable, and I mean, I just mashed it. I was like, I didn't even see it. I have no idea. I just knew where it was in the core and just smoked it. But then
Yeah.
we had like a 38 yarder or something, and I missed it. I'm like, what the heck's wrong with you? But things happen.
I'm the opposite right now. Personally, I suck at the long ones, past 54, 55.
Yeah.
Everything close, I think I'm fine on. That's why I think I shot really well the second day at this past tournament. But the first day I just sucked. So
It happens, man.
yeah.
But yeah, I would say
So
day two, we had several that were 42 to 52, ones that you really needed to hit to have a chance. We did have some at max, of course, but not as bad as the first day. The first day was super stretched,
it
which
was
I liked. I like I said, I seemed to hit the long ones and miss a few of the short ones. So I'm glad we didn't have that many on day one.
solid. Yeah. I need to work on my stuff on that. But yeah, as far as the second day, there was one target. I shot 1/8 the second day. I think it was target 20. I think it was like a blast bucket, like
Yep,
60 yards.
That's the last
How
target
did you do
I
on
had.
that?
I called upper, fired 6 o'clock under the upper, and almost hit the lower for a 10.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
But yeah,
Dude,
I was a little nervous. I knew like if I at least kept a 10 on that, because the day before, like I said, on the 60.8 yard deer, I ended on, I hit an 8. I was like, don't be dumb. Don't be dumb.
again.
Shoot a 10 or give yourself a chance on a 12. Make sure it's a 10 and you're in the shoot off, because I was in the top peer group. So I knew kind of where everybody was, So I was like, okay, I'm locked in as long as nobody just comes up randomly behind and catches 40 up, I should be in. So just make a good strong shot and try to hit at least a 10.
Exactly. My last shot, I hate the javelina. They had this javelina that day do you remember the javelina before? It was like
it on
target,
day two?
Day two, I think it was target 11.
Yeah, it was 51.5 yards.
Yeah, I smoked the upper on that thing. I hate that target. It's like if I'm not really careful, I could easily get a 5 out of the upper if I'm not paying attention.
It's hard to pick out them spots sometimes, especially if it's facing to the left.
It was facing left.
Yeah, it was
facing left.
Pretty difficult target. The whole group hit 12s on that one, so it was good. I can't remember my rotation, but I do remember like the footing being really bad because I was in my hey dudes, and it
No,
was like really
it
muddy.
was bad. It was crazy muddy on that target. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I was
think
like, you gotta be
Lawson had
kidding me.
one dead in the 12, and like my pin just sat on his knock and it just fired and hit right beside it. I was like, that was money. But like I could feel my feet sliding like almost the whole time because
This guy.
I was in these hay dudes with no traction. But yeah.
They were like halfway waterproof
Uh-huh.
off-brand Hey Dudes,
Yeah, they're gator waders. They're nice.
Gator
You should give them a
waders.
try.
Yeah, I have a set of Hey Dudes, but I wouldn't dare take them out there
Yeah.
on the range. But so yeah, I actually had to buy some new boots while I was there. After the first day, I had these like zero shoes, the snow boots. They are waterproof. They weren't waterproof anymore,
Yeah.
and I had to go. I just went to Bass Pro. I really want to get some Crispies sometime, but I just got like some Keens.
Yeah. Those
Um,
are really nice, the Krispies, for sure.
yeah, exactly. It's vetted. It's worth the extra price to have a shoe
Hmm.
last longer than 9 months. You
Yeah.
know, that's what I've had problems with. But um, yeah, now one last thing I would like to touch on. So Dane was in your group and he
Hmm.
was shooting very well. I saw him on the leaderboard, climbing up, staying on the leaderboard. What happened?
Like last, yeah, me and him were neck and neck all day. And then after target 15, I think he was like in second or third. I can't really remember. But I think he shot like a 12 and then had 3/8 in a row, straight high about this far over the upper. And he really didn't know why. I've watched Dane my whole life. We've grown up together, shooting through the classes together. And I know when he's shooting good, he's always shooting good, but I know when he's really on and his shots are like so clean and just so effortless. And they looked like that. Like I
Yeah,
truly think like something might have happened, for him to actually hit higher than what he's thinking. Cause he would break a good clean shot and I'd be like, man, just a little tall for an 8. And he's like, what? Like, there's no way
yeah,
that shot felt incredible. But I mean, once he started doing that, I think I hit like 3 12s in a row. So it kind of like shifted like everything towards the end. And then I ended up like being in second going into it.
yeah, man. It's the craziest thing. I mean, three eights that versus 3 12s. 1 8 is a 4 point swing,
It
so
could have
that's
been
a
two. It
12.
could have been like a 8 10 8 8. I can't remember,
So
but it might have been. I do know he hit three though. I don't know if they were perfectly in a
okay,
row or anything, but yeah, it
so
was. I would have loved to have Dane in that shoot off too. He's one of my best friends at the whole shoot. So
yeah,
to see him
he's
have
solid.
that happen to him, I didn't like seeing that, but
All right,
it's
he
just
did
hard.
win the first ASA this year and really set the standard.
Yeah,
Shooting like I think what was it like 48 up?
yeah. Every
Yeah,
every every one of them's been led with 48 up so far. So my goal at the next one's 50. I want to try to break the record.
shouldn't be too hard. I was honestly thinking when I was looking at that range, I was honestly surprised that no one didn't shoot 50 up
On day two, I feel like it
on day
was
two.
it was doable, but day one, that was a stout range. Lawson shooting 28 up on that. That's just absolutely incredible. That's in my mind, that's equivalent to like shooting 36, 38 up on a 50-yard range. That was
Yeah,
like absolutely incredible shooting.
yeah, 38 for sure.
Yeah.
So, awesome. This is good stuff. Is there anything else? I'm trying to think. Anything? I feel like there's one thing I wanted to touch on. I think that's pretty much it.
Sweet.
Yeah, cool. Um, oh, yes. So the shoot off. Walk us through how the shoot off went.
Well, we all went out there. I was on target two. I led like a 44, 45-yard leopard. I could see the upper decently on that. I went upper, smashed it, moved to the next one, and of course, known pro, you have to like gun at every ring to have a chance. So I knew on the 32, 33-yard coyote, I was like, well, no matter what, I'm going for the 14 and hit it on the left side. And I gave it one click left because I felt like I fired a little more middle than where it hit, but it still caught. What was the next target? 48, 49-yard bedded deer. And I fired a good shot I called upper. I felt like it was probably IBO level is where it fired, and it hit a smidge lower than the IBO. And I was like, you could probably see my reaction in the shoot off. I was like straight low, and Robert said,
Yeah.
"Man, that shot's over. Hit the rest." I said, "All right." So we went on to the next target. It was a Wolverine at like 37, I believe. I can't remember that yardage
Close.
perfectly, but it was close enough. And I couldn't see the 14 on it at all. Like Kyle just smoked it and he had an arrow hole down there somewhere, but I still couldn't see it. And I told Robert, I can't see it. And he was like, shoot a 12 and hit the rest at 14. I was like, all right, sounds good. Boom, right there in the middle of the 12 on the left side. I gave it one more click. I was like, this dang left. So I went
Yeah.
back to target one, which was the ram.
Yep.
Inside out 14. That shot felt
Yeah.
incredible. On that shot, I think I said yep before it hit the target. That's kind of like,
It's awesome.
it's kind of like when everything feels so money to me. It's like it just automatically comes out. I'm like, yep, and it's a dead center. When I do that, it hits the middle most times. So sixth and final arrow, I was really nervous. You know, my heart started pounding and everything. I knew I had a chance. If I hit this, there's a good chance that I put myself in contention to win this. So the pin sat right on Kyle's hole, arrow hole that he just shot, and I don't know, man. It didn't even really move. It just sat right on the 14, fired real clean, and that shot 100%. I said, "Yep," and it was dead center. It was like probably my best shot I ever fired in my life. I could have told you it was going to hit before it even fired, like the release fired, because the whole movement of that release was just money. The pin float was money, and it just everything happened. And just when it did, it was just one of those moments I'll never forget. It hit just dead center, and I just turned around and gave Robert a hug. And
Yes.
he's one of my best friends, so it was a cool moment for us to be out there together and him to be able to be my coach in that situation. But when Lawson had one go just a little high, it was just in shock, man. I had so many emotions, and to be able to go over there and put the headset on and do a short interview with PJ and Nathan, it's what I've always dreamed of doing. And I'm just so blessed to be able to finally do it.
Awesome. Scary stuff's happening
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, I was watching the shoot off with Richard, Richard Teasley, and we're keeping up with you. You shot the 12. I knew that Kyle shot the 14, and I was wondering why you didn't shoot the 14 on the Wolverine. It's because you
Yeah.
couldn't see it. But when you hit that 12, I was thinking, Brady, that was pretty dang smart, man. That was really smart because Kyle squeaked one out
Yeah.
of the 14 on the ram, like left or something.
Straight high,
So,
about a quarter inch. If he'd have hit that, he would have won.
yeah.
So
So, okay. And then you come around, you smoke the 14 on the ram. I don't know what Kyle did on his last arrow there.
I
But
think he probably 14'd it, knowing Kyle.
yeah, Kyle was shooting very well. So, Lawson, congrats to him. I mean, fifth in the last shoot off, comes into this one as the number one qualifier. That's very consistent. He's an amazing shooter. So he's shot indoor quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was the known 50 shooter of the year when he went out of known 50, but I've heard some stories of him shooting back in the 50-yard classes. Like, I think he almost shot 40 up, but he shot at 8 on a target.
Grief.
Yeah. So I think, what is that, 36 up?
And he's only 20 years old, I believe. Like,
Yeah.
he's going to be dangerous for years to come.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure, like, this is kind of a cool story. So Lawson, when he did that, he was command shooting, I believe, with a thumb release. And he went back to his hinge style, and I think he shoots a hinge without a click.
Yeah, we
Just
talked
like
about
you.
that on day 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, hinge shooting, it works. I wouldn't shy away from it. There's a ton. I would say, I don't know, I don't know if you like actually did a poll of the guys in the Known Pro class, but there's a pretty good balance of people shooting hinges and then shooting thumb releases.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Gillingham, which, does this thing,
Yeah.
Jimmy Lutz with the wrist strap. So, but I do think this for sure. I think every Known Pro that shoots halfway decent, at least has made a top 10 a couple of times.
Yeah.
They know how to shoot a hinge.
Yep. I agree.
Any guy that punches, they know how to shoot a hinge. So if you haven't figured out how to shoot a hinge, do one.
For sure.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate your time, Aaron McNitt. That's your lady.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. Where can people find you on social media?
My Instagram is just Brady Hempen 60X, and then Facebook, just my name, Brady Hempen. TikTok, Brady Hempen. Once again, yeah, that's pretty much my social media platform.
Awesome. Bombard all of your questions to Brady about how to shoot a hinge, and if you have any questions directly related to shooting or anything, feel free to send me a message as well. But thank you, Brady, and we'll see you guys, and hopefully see you guys with less humidity at the next ASA. So
for sure. Thanks for having me, bud.
no problem, man.
I'll
See you guys.